The classroom is nearly empty. Shimizu-san remains at her desk, her face buried in her arms. Daiki stands nearby and tells her it's time to go home, but she doesn't respond. Unsure whether to wake her, he hesitates. Shunya approaches, wondering how Daiki can sit so close to her so casually. Not understanding the concern, Daiki just shrugs, but Shunya insists that most people would keep their distance, even calling her a delinquent. Daiki raises an eyebrow, unconvinced, yet Shunya maintains it's obvious. Both recall the earlier incident when the teacher once again tells Shimizu to dye her hair black. She refuses and even jokes about trying a different color, unsettling the teacher with her intense stare. Back in the classroom, Daiki suggests she is probably just asleep. Shunya argues that her presence still feels intimidating and reminds him that Daiki was the only one who didn't step back earlier. Daiki wonders why Shunya was hiding and only appears now. With a grin, Shunya says he's glad the topic came up, then admits he likes Seto-san. Surprised, Daiki replies he doesn't really know her. Shunya turns the question around, curious if there's anyone Daiki likes, but the answer is no. He calls him boring. Daiki reflects that romance and ambition never really excite him. He never feels passionate about anything, and life seems ordinary. In contrast, Shunya throws himself wholeheartedly into everything, making it feel as if they live in different worlds. Shunya wonders if there's any type of girl Daiki finds attractive. When he doesn't answer right away, the question is clarified. He means in terms of appearance. Daiki admits he prefers someone who looks clean and elegant. Pressed for more specifics, he suggests maybe someone who actually wears the school uniform properly. When pushed further, he adds that black hair would be nice. Long or short? Long. Shunya then wants to know about accessories. Daiki confesses he likes girls who don't try too hard to stand out. He gets teased for being so plain and is told things are getting interesting. Before Shunya can continue, someone calls him to club activities and he dashes off, leaving Daiki alone. Shimizu-san hasn't moved. The next day, Daiki arrives to find the seat beside him empty. He wonders if she is just running late. Soon, whispers circulate as classmates comment that she is blunt or intimidating. Following their glances, Daiki freezes. Shimizu-san has dyed her hair black. He remembers mentioning to Shunya the day before that he likes black hair. Seeing her now, he thinks it suits her perfectly, almost unfairly so, but assumes it's just a coincidence. She approaches and stands silently in front of him. When he checks if something is wrong, she gazes at him blankly. Around them, classmates whisper that she must be angry with him and that he's in trouble. Feeling nervous, he mumbles an apology. She remains silent. Art class begins. Shimizu sits at her desk, slightly turned away from him. Daiki wonders if he's done something wrong. He thinks he's behaved normally, but maybe not. The teacher asks everyone to pair up and decide who will draw first. Daiki checks if she wants to start or let him go first. She replies that it doesn't matter. He volunteers to begin and she nods. Then she wonders if something has caught his attention. The teacher encourages everyone to relax. Shimizu crosses her legs. Daiki checks if she's comfortable sitting that way. She replies that it's easier, unless he'd prefer her to sit with her hands on her knees. He tells her to do whatever feels best. With a small nod, she agrees, and the teacher signals them to begin. She sits quietly, her expression unreadable. Daiki starts sketching, but quickly loses focus. When he pauses, she wonders why. After he apologizes, she casually tucks a strand of black hair behind her ear. Daiki mentions he'll move on to drawing her face and asks her to hold still, which unsettles her. She looks uncertain. He offers to stop if she feels uncomfortable, and she seems unsure how to respond. Assuming she's upset, Daiki waits as she turns away, asking for more time. She's not ready yet. He agrees to draw something else for now. As he looks down, his gaze drifts lower. Shimizu snaps, wanting to know where he's looking. He admits just below her face. She accuses him of staring, which he quickly denies. She makes him repeat himself, and he does. Finally, her features soften, and she seems less tense. Daiki admits he wasn't entirely honest earlier. Shimizu confesses she might have had some negative thoughts as well and apologizes, admitting she was just nervous. She decides to forgive him, but only if he draws her properly this time. Daiki promises. The teacher mentions there are only 3 minutes left. He realizes he's almost finished. Shimizu notes it's her turn to draw him, and he agrees. She tells him to relax, though she still seems tense. Wondering if she looks nervous, she tries to adjust when Daiki tells her that her face seems a bit stiff, but nothing seems to help. He tries to lighten the mood by complimenting her black hair. She blushes and wants to know why he would say that so suddenly, thinking he hadn't noticed. He checks if that's why she dyed it. She dodges the question and tells him to keep working. He laughs quietly. When she wonders what's so funny, he admits her expression is amusing and that he's actually enjoying this. She blushes again, brushing her fingers through her hair. Then she wants to know if he says things like this to every girl. Daiki assures her he doesn't. This is the first time. Giving him a look, she tells him to concentrate. With time almost up, Daiki can tell she's more at ease now. He thanks her for being his model. When they finish, he tells her she can rest, but she brushes it off, wants to see his drawing. When he hands it over, she remarks that if any drawing could save her life, it would be that one. Pointing out the fine lines on her face in the sketch, she asks about them. Daiki replies he simply draws what he sees and checks if it looks bad. She blushes. The teacher instructs them to switch. Daiki checks if she wants him to pose a certain way, but she leaves it up to him. When he sits down, she hides behind her sketchbook, telling him not to stare so much. He wonders which way to look. She says at her, then changes her mind. She looks just as confused as he feels. Later, on the way home, Shimizu absent-mindedly touches her hair. Daiki's words echo in her mind. That black hair truly does suit her. The day she dyes it quietly marks the beginning of something new. It's lunchtime, and Shunya, with intense curiosity, wants to know why Daiki always buys sandwiches from the cafeteria. Daiki explains that every morning when he wakes up, he's always tired, so there's no way he can make sandwiches for himself for lunch. Shunya, continuing the conversation that many high school boys dream about, wonders aloud if he would accept a sandwich for lunch if it were made by the girl he likes. The thought alone brings a look of happiness to Daiki's face, and he admits that having lunch under those circumstances would make him excited to eat every now and then. When the conversation turns to food preferences, he mentions that an omelet with pork would be a nice meal to have. The discussion soon shifts to attending a cooking class the next day, and the possibility of tasting food from another group, both of them unaware that Shimizu is within earshot, overhearing every word. Daiki reflects on how pleasant it would be to cook with someone, since he always ends up cooking his own meals, and his sister never helps with chores. Shunya becomes animated at the idea of cooking with someone he likes, but Daiki confides that he would prefer to cook with his crush, finding the idea even more appealing. All the while, Shimizu, feeling increasingly nervous, keeps tapping on her phone, trying to distract herself from the conversation, but unable to stop listening. The topic returns to cooking class partners, with Daiki mentioning that for now, his group consists only of Shimizu. This revelation prompts Shunya to quietly note that he has never actually seen her in the cooking class before, but after this aside, both boys share their hopes and wishes for the activities planned for tomorrow. On the day of the class, the teacher announces that the group will be making sautéed vegetables as already decided. However, a surprise awaits everyone when it is revealed that there is a new participant. The entire class is shocked to see Shimizu joining the session, but Daiki, instead of being surprised, greets her with enthusiasm and wishes her good luck, encouraging her to work hard now that they're in the same group. She appears nervous, but the teacher instructs everyone to begin cooking. The initial task of cutting vegetables comes up, and Daiki volunteers to handle it, acknowledging that while it's tough, he can get the job done. Shimizu announces her willingness to help him with the vegetable cutting. Shunya, though admittedly a bit intimidated by her, offers to help as well. Daiki insists that he can manage, but she reasons the work will go much faster if he accepts help, so he agrees. Even though she still seems nervous, Shimizu assures him that he can rely on her and suggests leaving the chopping to her. Still feeling uneasy about assigning the entire task, he proposes that they take turns and work in shifts. A large cabbage is handed to Shimizu with the request to cut it into a suitable size, while Daiki turns his attention to preparing the carrots. Suddenly, she slams the cabbage onto the cutting board and grips the knife in an unsettling manner, almost like a serial killer. The sight makes him uneasy, prompting him to nervously ask her to lower the knife. Shimizu, confused, points out that he had asked her to cut the cabbage. He then demonstrates the proper way to hold the knife. She's still quite anxious and admits her nerves are affecting her. Daiki acknowledges that cooking in front of an audience can be intimidating, but reminds her that she can ask for help anytime. Nevertheless, Shimizu resumes with the same awkward technique, holding the knife high with an almost menacing intent, prompting a more urgent correction from Daiki. She explains she was thinking of cutting the cabbage into small strips, but he reminds her that, for sautéed vegetables, the pieces shouldn't be too tiny, otherwise the cabbage will be grated instead of sautéed. Following his instructions, she manages to cut the cabbage correctly, and he expresses his appreciation for her effort and improvement. The next vegetable is the onion. Shimizu gets ready to chop, but Daiki advises her to hold her hand like a cat's paw for safety. Instead, she lifts both hands, unintentionally making it look as though she's preparing for a confrontation. He gently intervenes, explains the technique, and demonstrates by guiding her hand. The experience leaves her flustered, while Daiki wonders if she dislikes being touched. Despite the awkwardness, he helps her with the chopping process, which draws the attention of the rest of the class. until her sharp glare scares them back into working. A sense of guilt settles over Shimizu for causing a scene, but Daiki remains calm and supportive, teaching her patiently. With his assistance, she manages to chop the onion and, with a hint of pride, announces that she has learned the cat's paw technique. She remains unaware that Daiki secretly thinks she looks as cute as a kitten. Together, they finish cooking the sautéed vegetables. After tasting her dish, Shimizu is pleasantly surprised, happy that it turned out well, and Daiki agrees that the dish is flavorful. Later, curiosity nudges her to ask what he thought about cooking together. Daiki admits he was initially worried she might injure him, which makes her a little sad. But he quickly adds that he actually enjoyed cooking with her. Looking at him in awe, Shimizu shyly suggests that they could cook together more often. This response brings happiness to Daiki, who had feared she would reject the idea. In the end, he realizes one of his many wishes has now come true. Later that day, back at home, Shimizu tries to relax by taking a bath, but her mind keeps racing. Thoughts about Daiki's strong hands and the way he praised her skills occupy her mind. The shyness is overwhelming at first, but then logic tries to take over, reminding her that he could have admired anyone with cooking skills, not just her. She tries to stop herself from spiraling into negative thoughts and attempts to focus on something else, when suddenly she remembers his words about how homemade lunches are the best. Without warning, her older sister bursts into the washroom cheerfully, wrapped only in a towel, startling her. The sister, completely unbothered, wonders if she can help wash her back. Shimizu tries to get her to wait until she's finished, but her sister is persistent, insisting that now is the perfect opportunity to talk about romance. Eventually, Shimizu gives in and ends up telling her the whole story. Not long after, both sisters find themselves in the kitchen wearing aprons, where the older one instructs her to make fried pork with ginger as a test of her cooking skills. However, Shimizu manages to ruin the entire dish, leaving nothing but burnt pieces. Shimizu admits her failure, but her sister still refuses to give up. The next day, they are back in the kitchen. Her sister cheers her on, telling her to keep trying, but Shimizu starts chopping the pork with the same intense energy as before. She cuts the meat into tiny, uneven pieces. Even so, her sister stays positive and tells her to try again since there's still some pork left. This time, her sister explains clearly how to cut the meat evenly and fry it on low heat. Despite the guidance, the dish fails again. The pork turns into something that looks like slimy mush. Shimizu tastes it, but her sour expression shows exactly how bad it is. Seeing her disappointment, her sister suggests finding another way to thank Daiki and leaving the lunch idea for later. But Shimizu is determined. She wants to make lunch for him no matter what, because she wants to see the happy expression on his face. Still, she hasn't told her sister everything. Her sister thinks Shimizu simply wants to thank Daiki, so Shimizu lies and says she wants to do it immediately, but inside, Shimizu feels anxious because she still can't cook. Her sister suddenly pulls off her apron to reveal a cheerleader outfit underneath and starts cheering loudly to motivate her. With new determination, the sisters work hard in the kitchen every day for an entire week, but even then, every pork dish Shimizu cooks ends up looking awful. As the failures pile up, her sister's cheerful face slowly fades and Shimizu becomes more discouraged. Still, she doesn't want to waste food, so she decides to pack the latest failed meal anyway. Her sister hands her another lunchbox that their mother prepared and reminds her that cooking is about love, and putting love into the food is what matters most. Later in class, Shimizu sits sadly with her lunchbox, thinking about the chaos of the past week. Daiki notices her gloomy expression and tells her he forgot his wallet and missed lunch. He also mentions that Shunya is stuck in a meeting and couldn't help him. He apologizes for making her worry. Seeing two lunchboxes on her desk, Shimizu decides to offer one to Daiki. When Daiki asks why she has an extra lunch, she tells him one is for him and her own is on the desk. Daiki is happy, but he still wonders why her parents packed two lunches. So she explains that since she can't eat both, she wants to thank him for helping her during the cooking lesson by giving him one. Feeling safe that he'll eat the lunch her mother made, she relaxes until she realizes he has already opened the lunch she prepared, the one with burnt pork. Panicking, she tries to think of a way to take it back, but it's too late. He already started eating. She watches nervously, but Daiki eats as if nothing is wrong. When he asks her to look away because he can't eat while being watched, she becomes even more anxious. She checks on him repeatedly to make sure he doesn't feel forced to eat it. Daiki wonders about the seasoning in the pork, something she doesn't normally use. She realizes he knows she cooked it, but instead of being bothered, Daiki calmly says he likes roasted ginger pork and that the taste always makes him emotional. She insists he should stop if it's bad, but Daiki softly tells her that because she made it especially for him, he will eat all of it no matter what. Shimizu is shocked that he figured out she cooked it for him, especially since she kept denying it. Daiki then asks if it's really okay for him to eat a lunch she made just for him. Embarrassment hits her hard. She wants to tell him she made it for his sake, but she can't bring herself to say it. Instead, she insists again that she simply couldn't eat 2 lunches. Daiki notices she's been down for days and now understands it was all because of the bento. He talks about how much she has improved since cooking class, commenting on each bite. She becomes so embarrassed she tells him to eat quietly. When he finishes, she asks for the empty lunchbox, wanting to help like she did during cooking practice. Daiki returns it politely, thanks her, and promises to repay her somehow, making her happier than he realizes.
Hey guys, sorry for mid-editing, but I noticed a lot of you are watching my videos without subscribing. Our subscribe ratio is literally close to 0. I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It helps a lot. Thanks. Now, back to the recap.
That night, Shimizu lies in bed, replaying the moment he ate the bento. His grateful expression keeps echoing in her mind. Overwhelmed with happiness, she can't sleep. She decides she will make another bento for him, one he will love. Wearing an apron, clutching a cookbook and a ladle, she enters full cooking mode. She wants to improve both the taste and the presentation. The thought of Daiki's satisfied smile is enough motivation to keep her going. She dreams of making a lunch so memorable that he'll ask for her cooking every day. Just as her determination peaks, her older sister Kai walks in and demands to know the entire story of how she thanked the guy. Shimizu tries to dodge the topic, but Kai's sharp glare forces her to confess. After all, Kai tasted all the failed dishes and helped every day. She declares that Shimizu owes her a full explanation about Daiki Hanada and anything romantic. Giving up, Shimizu begins describing him, how kind and unique he has seemed since the moment they met. She recalls the time Shunya wanted Daiki to take his cleaning duty, and Daiki agreed without hesitation. She thought maybe he was too soft, someone who couldn't say no. But then she remembers the day a random boy confessed to her. She rejected him because she didn't even know him. Angry, he accused her of being full of attitude and reached for her arm. But before he could touch her, Daiki stepped in front of her like a shield and calmly introduced himself. The situation escalates quickly. The boy becomes even angrier and demands to know what Daiki's relationship with her is. Daiki answers calmly that she's just someone he recently met. This only frustrates the boy more. He argues that since Daiki and Shimizu have no relationship, Daiki has no right to interfere with his confession. Even so, Daiki doesn't back down. He explains that he wouldn't have stepped in if the boy hadn't grabbed her arm so tightly. Shimizu tries to get Daiki to stop arguing, but he continues talking to the boy patiently, pointing out that grabbing someone like that makes him look bad. Eventually, the boy realizes his mistake, apologizes, and leaves. Afterward, Shimizu wonders if Daiki helped because he wanted to date her. But instead of acting romantic, Daiki quietly mutters "good boy" to himself and casually walks away. His reaction leaves her confused and curious. Unable to hold back her questions, she asks why he was there at that exact moment. She genuinely wonders if people like him, people who rush into dangerous situations, really exist. Daiki, slightly embarrassed, explains that he saw her walking to the back of the school with that boy. Knowing the boy had a short temper, he followed them to make sure she was safe. Hearing this makes Shimizu realize just how genuinely good he is. He helped her even though they barely knew each other, expecting nothing in return. But then Daiki says his real reason was selfish. If he hadn't followed, and something bad happened, he would have hated himself. He says regret is more painful to him than anything else. His serious expression makes her wonder if he has experienced regret before. She warns him that stepping into situations like that could be dangerous, though she knows deep down he won't stop, even if he claims he will. From that day on, she can't help watching him. Everything he does feels unique to her. Listening to all of this, Kai points out that Shimizu still never thanked him properly. Shimizu remembers how, after she dyed her hair black again, Daiki acted as if he was meeting her for the first time. She quietly worries he might not even remember her if she tried to thank him now. Kai teases her, saying she clearly likes Daiki because he's so unique. Embarrassed, Shimizu panics, but Kai urges her to find a special way to thank him, maybe even invite him on a date. Just hearing the word date nearly makes Shimizu faint. Back in middle school, Shimizu was very popular and constantly received confessions. To escape the attention, she dyed her hair blonde and acted like a delinquent. Later, when Daiki met her again and greeted her like a stranger, she wondered if he truly didn't recognize her anymore. One day, walking down the corridor, she overhears someone asking if Daiki is scared of her because of her delinquent reputation and her hair violating school rules. She listens carefully for his answer, but before she can hear it, Kai snaps her out of her thoughts. They're out shopping for new clothes. Kai, always ready to tease, asks if Shimizu is blushing because she's thinking about Daiki. Shimizu gets flustered and denies it, claiming he isn't the type to judge people by appearance. Still, she secretly wants to look good for him. Meanwhile, Daiki's sister, Kino, sends him to the mall to pick up a game she reserved. At first, he tells her to go herself, but knowing she hates going out, he ends up agreeing. She thanks him, and he realizes he can never refuse his little sister's requests. After picking up the game and receiving a reward, Daiki heads home. That's when he spots familiar black hair in the crowd and calls out to Shimizu. She freezes in shock. Kai greets Daiki first. He recognizes her but forgets her name, so Kai proudly introduces herself as the student council's vice president. When Kai asks why he's at the mall, Daiki explains he's there to pick up a game for his sister. Kai instantly begins plotting. She asks if he has any other plans, and when he says no, she invites him to join them. Without noticing Shimizu's panic, she arranges lunch for all three. Daiki can't refuse and ends up joining them. Kai immediately starts asking him questions about his sister while guiding the conversation however she wants. Suddenly, she bluntly asks who he thinks is prettier, Kai or Shimizu. Without hesitation, Daiki answers that Shimizu isn't just pretty, she's far more beautiful. The compliment hits Shimizu so hard, she quickly excuses herself to get a drink. Even from afar, she listens to them talk. Kai, unfazed by her absence, tells Daiki that Shimizu often talks about him at home. Surprised, he wonders what she says. While Shimizu waits by the drink counter, praying her sister will join her soon, Kai continues. She mentions how Shimizu has become more beautiful lately, especially after getting through a lonely, difficult time. Then she asks Daiki what he thinks of Shimizu. The question catches him off guard, but after a pause, he answers honestly. He says she's kind, that they share a class, sit together, talk often, and she always listens thoughtfully. He says she has real integrity and genuine kindness. Kai nods but still teases that Shimizu broke school rules by dyeing her hair blonde. Daiki defends her, saying she must have had a reason. Then Kai asks Daiki for a favor. She points out how closely he pays attention to Shimizu and asks him to stay by her side, since now that she's dyed her hair black again, she's getting more attention from other students. Kai says she feels safer with him around. But Daiki gently refuses, not because he doesn't want to, but because he'd stay close to Shimizu for his own reasons. He says she makes him happy, and he genuinely enjoys talking with her. When Shimizu returns to the table, she asks what they were talking about. Kai casually replies that they were deciding where to go next, since their real date has just begun. Then she leans close and whispers that Daiki likes talking to her. Shimizu blushes at the news, but a warm happiness spreads through her. She realizes that her sister has spoken directly to Daiki about her, and a mix of embarrassment and frustration bubbles up. Kai, however, doesn't seem to care. With that, she continues to drag both Shimizu and Daiki along, determined to make the most of their unexpected outing. During their trip, the three of them end up shopping for clothes. Kai insists that Shimizu needs Daiki's opinion on her choices and wants a guy's perspective. While Shimizu wanders off to look for outfits, she quietly apologizes to Daiki for dragging him along. He smiles and changes the topic, asking why she avoids wearing skirts. Shimizu explains that it's not that she dislikes them, she just prefers clothing that feels more comfortable than her uniform skirts. At that moment, Kai reappears, holding a long skirt dress, encouraging Shimizu to try it on. Uninterested, Shimizu declines, so her sister tries it on herself. Left alone with Daiki, Shimizu thinks about how changing her style at her own pace might be good, as a new look can sometimes bring positive change. Suddenly, Kai steps out in the long summer skirt dress she had been holding, looking adorable. Daiki compliments her without hesitation. The praise sparks a twinge of jealousy in Shimizu, who insists she doesn't like the dress. Kai teases her about Daiki's compliment and declares she'll buy the dress for herself. Without skipping a beat, Kai begins grilling Daiki about the kind of dresses he likes. He admits that he likes girly styles, which Kai enjoys experimenting with. Feeling left out, Shimizu quickly retreats to the changing room. Noticing this, Kai tells Daiki to follow if he wants to see something special, hinting that Shimizu has a hidden charm. He thinks she could look good in anything, but after 10 minutes pass without her coming out, Kai teases that Shimizu must be embarrassed. Daiki reassures her, saying she can take her time and doesn't need to feel pressured. Finally, Kai pulls back the curtain, revealing Shimizu in a stunning outfit. Daiki is left speechless. Nervous, Shimizu quietly asks for his opinion, uncertain how he will react. For a moment, he is at a loss for words, making her worry that the dress doesn't suit her. Then he apologizes for his silence, explaining that he's just caught off guard by how beautiful she looks. The heartfelt compliment makes her eyes shine with happiness. Daiki continues to praise both her usual style and how lovely she looks now. Overwhelmed and embarrassed by her sister's teasing, Shimizu hurries back to change into her regular clothes. In the end, she decides to buy the dress, leaving Daiki deep in thought, wondering when he might get to see her wear it again. Sensing his distraction, she asks what he's thinking. He casually repeats that the dress really suits her, causing her to blush even more. Meanwhile, Kai signals to Daiki that Shimizu bought the dress just for him to see, but Shimizu insists her purchase was only for a change of pace. The sisters begin bickering playfully, as Shimizu struggles to express her feelings, while Daiki quietly thinks about how seeing her in such a cute dress unsettles him. As the shopping trip winds down, Kai asks where they should go next. She declares that shopping is over, and wants Daiki to join them at the arcade. Shimizu worries he might decline, but he happily agrees to play a few games before heading home. Perhaps for all of them, this is the start of a new chapter. Their first game is the crane machine. Shimizu tries to win a teddy bear that resembles Daiki, but despite her best efforts, she fails. Kai calls them to try other games. Shimizu leaves the crane machine and the bear behind, promising herself she can play again later. Next, all three play slingshot. Shimizu and Daiki are on one team, and Kai is on the other. At first, Shimizu's team takes the lead. However, Kai employs a strategy, pointing at something in the sky. Shimizu, knowing her sister's tricks, stays confident and declares she will win. Still, Kai maintains determined eye contact and consistently aims for the center. Shimizu cannot figure out her sister's plan and grows frustrated. At one point, she accidentally bumps into Daiki, leaving her embarrassed. When he asks if she's okay, her embarrassment prevents her from answering. Meanwhile, Kai announces the prize. The winner gets to command the loser. Shimizu is unfamiliar with the rule, but notes that their team has already won one of two games, giving them a possible advantage. She tries to keep pace, but Kai senses her lack of confidence and continues to push. Daiki reassures them that he's happy as long as everyone is enjoying themselves. Because Shimizu has a partner, the competition becomes more serious. Suddenly, Kai scores a decisive goal, leaving Shimizu stunned by her loss. Kai celebrates her right to give orders, while Shimizu regrets losing, especially because Daiki also has to follow the winner's commands. Shimizu volunteers to take responsibility for both herself and Daiki since she dragged him into the game, but he objects. Both sisters agree to the arrangement anyway. Kai then leads them to the Parika photo booths, revealing that Shimizu must cosplay. Shimizu feels anxious when she learns she cannot choose her costume. Both sisters leave Daiki behind to enter the changing room. Kai selects a maid outfit for Shimizu, who takes extra time to prepare mentally, fearing the outfit is too revealing and worried Daiki might be disgusted. Finally, she emerges in the outfit. Her sister compliments her, but Shimizu is too nervous to gauge Daiki's reaction. When he remarks that it suits her, she is pleasantly surprised that he isn't put off. They proceed to take photos together. After taking pictures with her sister, Kai invites Daiki to join them. When all three enter for a group photo, Kai briefly steps out, encouraging Shimizu and Daiki to take pictures alone. Another clever tactic by Kai leaves Shimizu and Daiki together. At first, they stand apart in the photo booth frame, but Daiki suggests moving closer. Slowly, they end up side by side. Kai teases Shimizu for becoming bold. She offers to decorate the photos, but Shimizu declines. Daiki admits he isn't skilled at decorating, so Kai takes charge. During this, Daiki surprises Shimizu by pulling out the bear from the crane machine. He explains that he won it for her and would be happy if she accepted it. Shimizu hesitantly takes the bear. When he checks if she likes teddy bears, she cannot admit that it's because the bear resembles him, so she changes the subject and goes to check on her sister. Later, viewing the photos with Daiki, Shimizu realizes that although her sister orchestrated much of the day, it has become a collection of cherished memories. On the bus ride home, Shimizu and Daiki sit together, realizing for the first time that they live so close to each other. Her sister has gone ahead to run errands, instructing them to go home together. Shimizu explains that her sister is pushy and always drags her around, but Daiki sees it differently, appreciating how freely her sister can speak with him. Shimizu notes that Daiki should see her sister at home, especially when she complains about not understanding something before exams. Daiki assumes her sister must be hardworking. Shimizu realizes she has started badmouthing her sister, but Daiki's admiration for her sibling makes her feel a twinge of jealousy. He then points out that Shimizu herself has many admirable qualities, taking initiative in helping others, cooking in class, and even making lunch for him. Her face heats up as he continues listing her good qualities, and she asks him to stop just as the train announces their stop. When they exit, it's raining. Daiki asks about her umbrella and offers to share his. Shimizu declines, saying she can call her parents and reassures him he doesn't need to worry. He heads home, but Shimizu remains standing, having lied about her parents, who won't be home until evening. She regrets not bringing her umbrella, but at least she got to spend the day with him. Clutching the teddy bear, she finds comfort in its presence, recalling the expression on Daiki's face when she wore that dress. That's why she bought both the dress and the plush bear. Suddenly, she hears her name called. At first, she thinks she's imagining things, but then she sees Daiki standing there with his umbrella open. She wonders why he returned, and he explains that he suspected she hadn't left yet, and came back to share his umbrella and walk home together. Embarrassed, Shimizu listens as he apologizes for not buying another umbrella since the store was sold out. She thanks him for not spending extra money on her. She worries about him catching a cold and asks him to move closer under the umbrella. He comments on how kind she is, but Shimizu thinks he is even kinder for walking back, just in case she was still there. Daiki explains he does it to avoid future regret, which reminds Shimizu of something he said before. She wonders if he has regrets from the past. He opens up, telling her about a friend named Yu. One day, older boys teased them at the park. Daiki looked to Yu for support, but Yu stayed silent, so he did too. The next day, Yu never returned to the park. From that moment, Daiki resolved not to have regrets. If he could go back, he would have told Yu how much he valued their friendship. Shimizu apologizes for bringing up a painful memory, but Daiki reassures her that he cherishes the good memories and is happy in the present, especially spending time with her. Shimizu becomes so flustered, she nearly stumbles in the rain, prompting Daiki to steady her. She insists it's only because of what he said, but he disagrees. He says it's not strange. He's happy to open up because he enjoys their time together. His words replay in her mind, making her nervous as she realizes how handsome he is and wishes she could be more feminine. Daiki notices her nerves and admits he's also nervous, since it's his first time sharing an umbrella with someone. Shimizu agrees that being close makes her heart flutter. At that, her mind goes blank, and when the rain stops, she dashes toward home. Later that night, Shimizu can't stop thinking about Daiki. His words replay constantly. The way he says he likes her company, notices her listening carefully, thinks she is beautiful, and enjoys being with her. She feels embarrassed and shy, almost resenting him for making her blush so much alone in her bed. She regrets that day and wishes she had been closer to him, worried about facing him at school the next day. The following day, in an empty classroom, Daiki is lost in thought about the previous day. The events were so memorable that Shunya has to shake him just to get his attention. When Shunya asks what he's thinking, Daiki explains he's remembering everything that happened, including meeting Shimizu at the mall. Shunya is shocked, barely believing Daiki went on a date with Shimizu and her sister. Daiki wonders how Shunya knows about Shimizu's sister. Shunya explains that Daiki doesn't realize Kai is the vice president of the student council and very popular. Both sisters are known for their looks. Daiki simply replies that he went shopping with Shimizu and her sister. Slipping back into thought, Daiki again remembers Shimizu and how his heart fluttered under the lover's umbrella. Shunya wakes Daiki up again when suddenly Kai appears in the classroom looking nervous. She asks about Shimizu, explaining that she's looking for her but can't seem to find her. Daiki replies that he hasn't seen Shimizu since lunch. Kai then mentions a rumor that someone might be making a move on Shimizu, explaining that ever since she dyed her hair black, a lot of boys have been avoiding eye contact. And now, this rumor is spreading. At that moment, one of the two girls in the classroom mentioned she also saw Shimizu walking with a guy. Hearing this, Daiki immediately bolts out of the classroom to look for her, ignoring Kai's calls behind him. Meanwhile, Shimizu is with a handsome boy at the back of the school, where no one can disturb them. Suddenly, the boy asks her out. This upsets her. She wanted to spend time with Daiki, not him. The boy says that ever since she dyed her hair black, she looks cuter and more beautiful. Shimizu's thoughts drift, wondering if Daiki also likes her black hair. Shimizu refuses, saying she doesn't even know his name or him at all. She insists that if he's confessing just because she looks cute, there are plenty of other girls he could pursue. The boy tries to calm her, but she explains that relationships should follow a proper sequence. First spend time together, then develop feelings, and only then confess. The boy thinks she's naive, but still wonders if he can change her mind. Shimizu becomes annoyed, and firmly tells him she will never change her mind. When he asks if they can at least be friends, she simply turns and walks away, saying she isn't interested in anyone with ulterior motives. The boy remains calm, appearing mature despite her rejection. However, when she turns to leave, he suddenly grows angry, feeling that after putting so much effort into confessing, she is treating him poorly. He steps forward, grabbing her hand tightly. Shimizu thinks back to middle school, realizing this same scenario had happened before. She fears it will keep happening every time she has black hair. Suddenly, Daiki appears, looking as if he just ran a marathon to get there. Shimizu is nervous and shocked. He has come to her aid again, just like before. Daiki, momentarily taken aback by her beauty, asks for a moment alone with Shimizu after spotting her with the boy. Shimizu moves closer to him. The other boy, irritated, complains that Daiki is ruining the moment. Shimizu clarifies that she doesn't want to talk to him and that the conversation is over. The boy, now angry at being rejected, criticizes her face and attitude. Daiki intervenes, insisting that none of what he says about Shimizu is true. He explains that she has given him lunch, always listens when he needs to talk, and has countless good qualities. The boy then demands to know why Shimizu is so important to Daiki and what their relationship is. Daiki responds honestly, declaring that she is someone very special to him. Hearing this, Shimizu nearly faints from shyness and embarrassment. Daiki continues, saying her clumsiness makes her even cuter, and the way she plays games is wonderful. He keeps listing her qualities while Shimizu listens intently, her heart fluttering as if it might stop. Finally, the other boy leaves, and Shimizu and Daiki are alone. Walking along the corridor together, both feel slightly embarrassed. Daiki is embarrassed at how much he keeps talking without thinking, while Shimizu, still overwhelmed, keeps replaying his words. She tells him he shouldn't jump into every situation, as it could have consequences. Daiki pauses, feeling as if he's heard that before. Then he wonders if they had met in middle school. Shimizu stops him, pointing out he was slow to notice. Daiki wishes she had told him sooner that they already knew each other, admitting he didn't recognize her with blonde hair. He asks why she dyed her hair black again. Shimizu is embarrassed, but finally explains that she couldn't tell him before. Now she thanks him and runs away in embarrassment. Daiki is left unsure why his heart flutters so much, but realizes he likes everything about Shimizu. Later that night, Shimizu talks to her plush teddy bear as if it were Daiki. She can't stop replaying his words, especially how he said she is someone special to him, and wonders what he truly means. Her mind swirls with curiosity when Kai enters the room, teasingly pretending not to have heard anything. Seeing Shimizu's embarrassed face, Kai tries to cheer her up, insisting that Daiki actually wants to be with her. Shimizu mutters that Daiki is probably like that with everyone. Kai assures her otherwise, joking that she should go push him herself. When Shimizu tries to stop her, Kai mischievously asks if she wants Daiki to chase every girl. She then hints that she will seek help from her friend Yusuke, though she doesn't reveal her plan. The next day in class, Shunya asks Daiki why he ran off the previous day and managed to come back unharmed. Daiki apologizes for rushing out, but explains that he had to help Shimizu. He admits that when she thanked him, his heart fluttered. It was the most beautiful moment, and she looked especially cute. He says other girls are cute too, but it feels different with Shimizu. Daiki asks for advice, but Shunya refuses, saying he needs to discover this on his own. Shunya then shifts to his usual light-hearted talk about love, noting that he wants to do fun activities with someone he likes. Daiki suggests asking their soccer team manager, and Shunya replies that he'd be thrilled if his junior, Seto became the manager. The conversation is still ongoing when Kai suddenly bursts through the door, asking Daiki to come with her, just as Shimizu returns from the restroom. Daiki wants to finish talking with Shunya, but Shunya quickly excuses himself and heads to the library. Kai then takes both Daiki and Shimizu to meet her friend Yusuke, who first checks if they've given their consent. Kai assures him that they have, even though neither Daiki nor Shimizu knows exactly what they are consenting to. Yusuke introduces himself as the student council president and mentions that he has known the sisters since childhood. Daiki introduces himself as well, but notices how freely Yusuke is speaking with Shimizu, which makes him realize the two are already acquainted. Meanwhile, Shimizu realizes they are in her sister's club room, the Astronomy Enthusiast Club Room, and that Yusuke is trying to recruit both her and Daiki as new members. When she questions the reason, Yusuke explains that the club currently only has 3 members, and since he and Kai will be graduating, the club will be disbanded unless they recruit more members. Kai explains that she wants to have one last stargazing session on the rooftop and needs Daiki and Shimizu to join. Still, there's the issue of getting permission, as neither as individuals nor as a club can approve it. Shimizu initially tells him to give up, but Yusuke counters that with 5 members, they can get the necessary approval to use the rooftop. Daiki, thinking about his responsibilities at home, mentions that he can't stay too long on weekdays. However, Yusuke assures him that he can come and go as he pleases, which pleases Daiki, and he agrees to join. Kai adds that the club is mainly for relaxation, which slightly dampens Daiki's enthusiasm, as he had hoped for more than just casual conversation. Shimizu stands up to leave, saying she doesn't want to join. but Kai pulls her aside, insisting that it's a great opportunity. Shimizu confesses that she does want to join but feels too embarrassed after Daiki called her special. Kai insists that stargazing together on the rooftop is the essence of romance, and if she doesn't join, Daiki might end up chatting with a second-year girl instead. Shimizu is so flustered that she nearly faints, but Kai's persuasion convinces her to agree. Daiki, wanting to reassure her, tells her that she can always join another club if she prefers, but secretly hopes she will choose the same club. When Shimizu finally announces her decision to join, Daiki feels satisfied, while Kai looks relieved and mentions that another cute girl wants to join as well. When the new member arrives, it turns out to be their adorable junior, Seto.
Please,
Subscribe.
I need this. My mom is kind of homeless.